been involved in the Kingdom Story Bible study now for close to a year. And a couple of things that are showing up for me is that realizing I was introduced to the Kingdom Story as a child, probably in the first 10 years of my life. And I think back on my years in Sunday school and reflect on the stories 50 years later, that these are not new stories. They're stories that showed up in my past. So it's interesting in that it's an opportunity to sort of reconnect with just that fundamental story that was planted in me at an early age, that they introduced me to this idea of a God working in the world. But now to reflect on those stories of reflecting on God working in my life over the last 50 years, I think where they're showing up meaningfully for me right now is that looking at what is my role and who is God calling me to be in that story at this phase in life, and realizing I think that what that chapter looks like from a world's perspective is fairly predictable, that we continue to work hard, we work towards retirement, and we work towards that ongoing sort of American dream. And yet I'm realizing that as I reconnect with the Kingdom Story, that's maybe not the story that God's calling us to. And so I think the Kingdom Story for me has been this great context to step back and say, what is the meaning of that story for us in our lives? And to be very intentional in reflecting on that. For me, it's been a revisiting of really, oh my gosh, a long faith journey, and an opportunity to look at stories that are the same stories, but that are being interpreted in a very different way at this point.